My uncle asked Allah's messenger about a person who imagined to have passed wind during prayer. Allah's apostle replied, he should not leave his prayers unless he hears sound or smells something. I am continuing my series today on reading the Hadith. I'll give you an overview of the two chapters I read this time, knowledge and ablution, and then I will also pick out some specific examples from the Hadith that stood out to me as interesting. Let's jump into it. The first chapter, knowledge. This chapter focuses a lot on the importance of knowledge, specifically the knowledge of what Muhammad taught and how he lived. It also talks a little bit about the end times and makes reference to knowledge about signs of the coming age of the end of the hour. So this seems to focus on those two main topics specifically, the importance of knowledge about Muhammad and also knowledge regarding the end times. And here are a few examples of the end time hadith. Narrated Abu Hurairah. While the Prophet was saying something in a gathering, a Bedouin came and asked him when would the hour, doomsday, take place. Allah's messenger continued his talk, so some people said that Allah's messenger had heard the question but did not like what the Bedouin had asked. Some of them said that Allah's messenger had not heard it. When the Prophet finished his speech, he said, "Where is the questioner? Who inquired about the hour?" The Bedouin said, "I am here, O Allah's apostle." Then the Prophet said, "When honesty is lost, then wait for the hour." The Bedouin said, "How will that be lost?" The Prophet said, "When the power or authority comes into the hands of unfit persons, then wait for the hour, doomsday." And another one, narrated Abdullah and Abu Musa. The Prophet said, "Near the establishment of the hour, there will be days during which religious ignorance will spread. Knowledge will be taken away, vanish, and there will be much al-harj." And al-harj means killing. So as you can tell from these examples regarding the end times, a few things seem to stick out. One, it's not necessarily anything extremely specific. It's not like it's giving you a time, a date, or how many years to wait, or maybe even what you might call specific miraculous claims. It's more like general principles about the social, economic, and political status of the world. So for instance, the one thing mentioned is that trust will dissipate and leadership will fall into the hands of unfit people. And a couple of the other ones from the second one was that there will be religious ignorance and there will be a lot more killing, things like that. These hadith about the end times really seem just to be describing a socioeconomic and political atmosphere that is in utter disarray and distrust with societal upheaval and just things in chaos. And that's how you'll know the end times will be coming. However, as I said, this collection of hadith within this chapter aren't strictly just about the end times. It's also about the importance of knowledge as a general whole and remembering the teachings and the example of Muhammad. So, for instance, narrated Abu Hurairah. People say that I have narrated many hadiths. Had it not been for two verses in the Quran, I would not have narrated a single hadith. And the verses are, "Verily those who conceal the clear sign and the guidance which we have sent down, up to the most merciful. And no doubt our Muhajir immigrant brother used to be busy in the market with their businesses, bargains, and our Ansara brothers used to be busy with their property. But I used to stick to Allah's messenger, contented with what will fill my stomach, and I used to attend that which they used to not attend, and I used to memorize that which they used to not memorize." So in this hadith, it seems to be made clear that the importance of knowledge, and specifically sticking with the Prophet Muhammad, was more important to this narrator than property was, or seeking out wealth, and such worldly things like that. And other hadith within this chapter reflect that sort of logic. It's better and more important to reflect on the knowledge shared by Muhammad than to pursue worldly things. And those were the general principles shared within this hadith. The next chapter was ablution. And I will admit, this chapter was kind of amusing and at some points awkward, simply because of the topic. The topic of this chapter was all about ritual cleansing and purity, when it was necessary for a Muslim to do ablution or to wash themselves in between prayers. So, for instance, farting and going to the bathroom and sexual discharges and things like that could make someone ritually impure and would require them to perform ablution to cleanse themselves. I'll give you a few examples of what I mean. Narrated Zayd bin Khalid. I asked Uthman bin Affan about a person who engaged in intercourse but did not discharge. Uthman replied he should perform ablution like the one for an ordinary prayer, but he must wash his penis. Uthman added, I heard it from Allah's messenger. I asked Ali az-Zubair, Talha, and Abba bin Ka'b about it too, and they too gave the same reply. This order was cancelled later on, and taking a bath became necessary for such a case. And then here's another one. Narrated Abad bin Tamim. My uncle asked Allah's messenger about a person who imagined to have passed wind during prayer. Allah's apostle replied, he should not leave his prayers unless he hears sound or smells something. And there are plenty of other examples within this hadith about when someone ought to wash themselves before another prayer or cleanse themselves for ritual purity. Anything that would have been considered making you unclean, anything that would be considered, physically unhealthy if you didn't clean yourself, was expected for you to do some sort of ritual cleaning. Now, in this portion of the hadith, it did seem like some of the advice was just general health advice. It didn't seem like it was all just about ablution for purposes of prayer or ritual purity. At some points, it seems like it was just giving general health advice. And here's a few examples of what I mean. Narrated Abu Qatada, Allah's messenger said, whenever any one of you drinks water, he should not breathe in the drinking utensil, and whenever any one of you goes to a lavatory, he should neither touch his penis nor clean his private parts with his right hand. Also 56. Narrated Abdullah bin Umar, people say whenever you sit for answering the call of nature, you should not face the Qibla or Batil Maqdis, Jerusalem. I told them once I went up to the roof of our house and saw Allah's apostle answering the call of nature while sitting on 2 bricks facing Jerusalem, but there was a screen covering him. And another one later on. The Prophet had said, you should not pass urine in stagnant water, which is not flowing, then you may need to wash in it. These specific mentionings of when someone should, clean themselves, how they should go to the bathroom, or whether or not they should, relieve themselves in stagnant water. These laws are prevalent also throughout this chapter. It's not just about ritual purity, at least it appears to me not to be that case. Many of them just seem to be general health advice or things that may be of best practice. I will say, I was kind of surprised and shocked by how many laws there actually were surrounding when someone should clean themselves, how someone should clean themselves, how someone should use a restroom, how they should pass gas, and all these different things that are very just natural about the human experience physically. So for instance, there's a mention about how many stones someone should use after pooping, basically. There's also mention about what type of material is useful for wiping someone's butt, and there's also mention about how someone should pee and things like this. Some things that are just generally, I guess, uncomfortable. There's a lot of discussion about health practices regarding them. Again, after reading these 2 chapters, it intrigues me just the way Muhammad was said to have lived and the things he sort of recited and the practices he followed. It does really appear that he outlined a pretty detailed way of living for people to follow, which just simply kind of intrigues me. But yeah, those are my final thoughts regarding the hadith for today. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know if there's anything about the hadith that I did not mention in this video that you also find interesting. What are some laws about ablution I didn't mention? And what are just some other practices about knowledge or importance about knowledge that I didn't mention? Let me know in the comments down below. And I look forward to continuing studying the hadith. So, as always, friends, before I close out, go out there and light the world yourselves.